Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, it is that time when I should wish you all a very pleasant night wherever you are. In particular here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, wherever you are in the entire Caribbean region, as a matter of fact, wherever you are in the world, because we are on the World Wide Web. It's time to wish you a very pleasant night, my Straight Talk family, and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. I always like to greet my first timers. Before I do that, I really reach out to all in the diaspora in particular, in Africa. Some of you are in Asia. There's some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourself. And a special night, very special night, very pleasant night to all my folks over there in Nevis. And I've been forgetting Montserrat as well. And I won't do that tonight. And I skipped past Dominica on Monday. How come? I don't know. There's so many friends in Dominica. But all throughout the OECS, down south to Trinidad and Tobago, and of course Guyana on the mainland, and Venezuela, Barbados, we do reach you as well. Next door there in St. Eustatius and Sabre and St. Bartholomew, St. Bart's as we say, Anguilla, St. Martin. Yes, the BVI and the USVI, Betty over there on the hill in St. Thomas, how about you? And all my St. Thomas posse, St. Croix. I haven't heard from Jackie for a long time. Hope you are doing well. Puerto Rico, trust you are well also. And our first timers, we always like to greet our first timers. And I always want to thank all of the Straight Talk family who really share the link, because we need to get everybody on board, or as many on board as we possibly can. To that special lady in St. Louis, I know, I mean no offense to all the other ladies, but that's a special lady. She'll be on this program sometime, and then we'll expose who that special lady is, and I'm sure you'll be shocked to learn. But to the first timers, Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let us, in the process, try to get St. Kitts back to that enviable position of being number one, or one of the freest countries in the world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I thank Almighty God for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on another occasion. As your host, I want to reassure you that I will remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness. Nothing is watered down in any way, whether by omission or exaggeration, to make it more interesting. In other words, Straight Talk is not about being sensational or creating excitement at the expense of accuracy, because I consider it my duty to always present the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, no matter what you may say. but I present the plain truth about governance in my country. And I know the truth hurts. I apologize if it hurts you, but that's all I know. My grandmother used to say, she never likes liars because she said a liar is a thief. That's what my grandmother taught us coming up. So, and that was something that guided me away from stealing. I want to say goodnight to my junior brigade. Young Dwayne, say mama, mama, papa, papa. Yes, and you point to the television. Tristan, have you remind your mom about tonight? Shama over there in Frigate Bay. Hope you're well. Kevin Hanley, you've gone to the CSS, the Charlestown Secondary School in Nevis, and trust you are all right. And again, welcome all, my Straight Dog family. For those who have lost a loved one or loved ones, we extend our condolences wherever that has happened. And I always like to remind you that Jimmy Cliff said, who feels it knows it, so we can say anything, but truly death is a process. Tonight's thesis I have titled my Straight Dog family, Oldest CBI under Simmonds, Least Transparent under Drew. But before I move to my thesis, we normally do what we call our observations and review, when we highlight the issues of the day, when we highlight things we may have raised before, we do some reflection. We may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since, because change is unavoidable, and we need to have change in our country. And what can be expected next, also what new we have learned as a people. Because it's all about continuous improvement. It's all about continuing professional development, as we say, CPD. And my Straight Talk family, early Tuesday morning, St. Kitts Nevis woke up to some sad news. Once again, the news broke of the 23rd murder for 2023 and the 31st murder since Dr. Terence Michael Drew was sworn in as Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. And I heard him today on radio, and he did not pick his teeth about the 23rd murder. He did not even extend condolences to the family. And that's what we want to do, my Straight Dog family. Now, this report came from Mervan Thompson, I think is his name, of ZIZ Television. And she reported this, I think it was on a Wednesday. She said this.
The police are investigating the shooting death of Ibal Tyson of Low Street, Nevis. According to a notice, police from the Charlestown Police Police Station responded to a report of a shooting incident at Craddock Road on Tuesday morning. Pictures of the scene show a blue vehicle with a motionless body inside. More details will be provided as they become available.
And that was Mervan Thompson of ZIZ that brought us that information. We have not heard anything further, but again, our sympathy is extended to the family of the victim of, I think is Ibal Tyson. And our hearts are with the good people of Nevis as they mourn the loss of another victim of gun violence. It's not as bad in Nevis, because it seemed to have been rather quiet over there in Nevis in recent times, and all happened here in St. Kitts. In the meantime, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, unless I missed it, is also silent on the matter. And as I said, so too is the Minister of National Security, who seem to have no solution to these heinous crimes in our land of beauty and a country where once ago peace and tranquility abound. But all we can do is pray, my dear Straight Dog family. Just pray. And God answers prayer. And in our second observation, as citizens were awaiting an update from Dr. Drew in respect of details relating to the recall of the ambassador and permanent representative of St. Kitts and Nevis to the United Nations. And contrary to the news of the abominable and disreputable behavior of Ambassador Shiverton Dockery, remember, our Prime Minister just last week reported that all went well at the United Nations General Assembly. And I asked myself, just like many of you, what was Dr. Joe speaking about? All went well? He said this.
I also traveled to the United Nations General Assembly. That is one of the activities of the Prime Minister's office, and the Prime Minister, that is extremely important. There at the United Nations, I had the opportunity to listen to world leaders and to also make a presentation. And so I think that our United Nations meeting went extremely well.
Extremely well. But we were awaiting, and perhaps we can say we are still awaiting a full report from Dr. Drew in respect of the disposition of the ambassador, who in fact returned to New York and was seen at her office at the permanent mission of St. Kitts Nevis in New York this week. And we've said before that it cannot be disputed that Dr. Drew has an obligation to the Federation to advise us all about the said ambassador. And he was forced to do something like that today. Although he digressed to the Development Bank for an hour, I couldn't understand what the hell he was talking about. But that is all being asked of Dr. Drew. After all, he appoints ambassadors as per our Constitution. Yes, the Prime Minister appoints ambassadors as per our Constitution. The Constitution, Part 2, Section 79C, which is on your screen, gives the Prime Minister the constitutional authority to appoint ambassadors. And you can see that at Section C, my Straight Dog family, as it states that in relation to the appointment of or two particular offices, etc., of permanent secretaries and other offices. And subsection C reads, provided that in relation to any office of ambassador High Commission or other principal representative of St. Kitts or St. Christopher and Nevis in any other country or accredited to any international organization, the Governor General shall act in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister, who shall, before tendering any such advice in respect of the person who holds any public office to which appointments are made by the Governor General in accordance with the recommendation of same other persons or other authority, certainly that person or authority. So the Constitution provides that authority to the Prime Minister, as I said, to appoint ambassadors, of course, in consultation with the authority, meaning the ministers. But thanks rather to Jamie McPhail who literally pulled the information out of Dr. Drew today. And though not forthcoming, he said this, my straight dog family. He said this.
The government, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, recently advised that the ambassador had been recalled. That statement did indicate that further information will be forthcoming. This has been a major talking point. Are you in a position to provide that additional information at this point?
Right. Let me say, Jamie, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has put out its statement. I think the statement has been called for consultation.
Yes.
And therefore, one would understand that there's a process in all of this. And we should not seek to thwart the process. Because every matter, part of it is one, natural justice. And secondly, everybody, due process is critically important. So when one is recalled for consultations, whatever the consultations are, after those consultations and a decision is made, then Foreign Affairs says they will communicate, and we should allow the process.
And it's interesting. He said we should allow the process. And my Shetok family, I have always been at variance with Dr. Drew. And he has become a real nuisance to everyone who listens to him, especially when he does what he does best, that is to lie. But today, I concur, I agree with Dr. Drew that there must be due process, always. But there was no due process, and he digressed to the Development Bank today. But there was no due process in the case of Len Harris at the Development Bank. I don't need to defend Len Harris, because I'm sure he can defend himself. But I'm just stating the facts, that there was no due process in the case of Len Harris at the Development Bank. But I guess because his name is a Harris, or Harris. But Drew never denied, my straight dog family. Drew never denied that the ambassador went back to New York. That's very interesting about his response, you know. He never denied that the ambassador went back to New York and her office, but said she was on vacation. Yes, he said the ambassador was on vacation. He said this, not me.
Or one more question in regard to that. Now, this week there have been rumors that the ambassador is back in her post at the UN. Can you comment on that?
Right. So basically, I can say that the ambassador is on vacation.
Okay.
And that's where it is. So the ambassador is on vacation, and the consultations are taking place.
The ambassador is on vacation, and the consultations are ongoing. That's what he said. My Shozak family, I will commit to you that Dr. Drew will not be allowed to brush this misbehavior of the ambassador, or the reported or alleged, I should say, misbehavior of Ambassador Chiboton Dockery under the proverbial carpet. We will therefore keep you posted on this matter related to the said ambassador, who has been recalled for consultation, but has conveniently, according to Dr. Drew, gone on vacation. And according to the reliable information that we have at Straight Talk, is back in New York. Our third observation tonight, my Straight Talk family, is in relation to the serious issue in respect of the distribution of water tanks in St. Peter's and the Keon areas, which was raised on Straight Talk last Monday, and not for the first time, I may add. But from the onset, I must state that I am extremely elated. I am happy that some relief is being provided by the Jew Labor Administration to the people of St. Peter's and the people of Keon, the areas I just outlined. But what I would hasten to add is, however, I will continue to challenge the illegal process that led to the distribution of some 1,000 tanks by one Ashley Allers. And I have nothing personal against Ashley Allers, but I must provide the facts. And the information about these tanks did not originate with Straight Talk. It did not originate with your host. It came from the mouth of Dr. Drew, my Straight Talk family, not from your host. And this is what Dr. Drew said to the nation.
Water tank. That idea was brought to me, Mr. Ashley Allen. They look at people on the water. Why you don't think about giving them water tanks? Water which is a need. Why you can't give even those who are most affected a receptacle for water?
And that's the information that came from Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew also told us about the contract awarded to Ashley Allers. We did not originate or we did not fabricate that. This came from the mouth of Dr. Drew.
We have sent the fire truck, we have sent the water truck. We continue to send the fire truck, we continue to send the water truck. We have signed a contract to purchase water storage tanks. So at least when the water truck goes, they have a larger receptacle to store the water. I would also like to thank Mr. Ashley Allers, because he's the one who brought the idea of how we can help with the storage receptacles that we're going to launch.
So, Dr. Drew informed us that the idea originated with Mr. Ashley Allers. In the meanwhile, we discovered that Dr. Drew has found it necessary to appoint a project manager in the office of the Prime Minister in the person of one Ashmain Allers, who it was later discovered is the daughter of Ashley Allers. And that's a fact. We are not attacking anybody's daughter. She's a public servant. And we are alerting the country, alerting our people, that since Dr. Drew took office, he found it necessary to appoint a project manager in his office. You would thought the project managers would be in public works and elsewhere, but he finds himself a project officer. And he starts the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw Museum without the tender process. And now he has this other big project. The Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw Museum, as a matter of fact, is an $8 million project. $8 million without the tender process. And here he comes as well with another project for $5.8 million and no tendering. Ashley Allers, however, considered it prudent or wise to call into Straight Talk on our last program on Monday to try to intimidate your host, your humble servant. But really, who intimidates Ian Patches Liebert but Almighty God? That did not work. So Ashley Allers then went on another talk show and literally, on the line, literally put his foot in his mouth. As Ashley Allers said, there were two suppliers of tanks, my Straight Talk family. Two suppliers of tanks, the same tanks, he said. This is what he said, my Straight Talk family.
In fact, the same tank that TDC is selling, the same tank that ODB is selling, same company.
I want you to hear that again.
In fact, the same tank that TDC is selling, the same tank that ODB is selling, same company.
Same company. Ah, yes, my Straight Talk family, the company is Roto Plastics of Trinidad and Tobago. They sell the same tanks and they're distributors for years, well over 15 years, I'm told, TDC and OD Brisbane. Ashley Allers, my straight dog family, also said, Ashley Allers also said that there was a procurement process. That's what he said as well.
For months, we've been going through the procurement process. Even though there's a talk show host who just bang off his own stupid mouth and says all sorts of stupidness and without even asking and trying to. In fact, he was told he has an idea what is happening, but he's being delivered.
My straight dog family, an idea? I know that the procurement process is governed by legislation. And yes, Ashley, we spoke. And I told you that I was the chairman of the tenders committee for years. There is legislation that governs the procurement process, the Procurement and Contract Administration Act. Yes, you're perfectly correct. But there was no procurement. The Procurement and Contract Administration Act is very clear. It's very clear as it relates, for example, my straight dog family, to the methods of procurement. The methods of procurement are pellucid, my straight dog family. And as you can glean from your screen, that Section 10, subsection 1 of the Procurement and Contract Administration Act stipulates, and I quote, "A procurement shall be made by one of the following methods of solicitation. A, tender which shall be done by either 1, competitive seal bids, or 2, by competitive seal proposals. B, it continues, sole source procurement or emergency procurement or by competitive quotation." But here's what it says under subsection 2. "A sole source procurement as determined under section 11.5 may be negotiated by the procurement officer. A solicitation for an emergency procurement as determined under section 11.7 shall be made with the competition as is practicable in all other circumstances," it says. So was a quotation solicited from TDC and or ODB as OD Brisbane? And I investigated, and I can tell you, hell no. And there was no notice as well. There was no notice of pre-qualification, which is also a requirement of the Act, Procurement Act. And that's as well very clear, my straight dog family. It says under section 13 of the Act, it says subject to section 16, the procurement officer shall ensure that notice of A, a solicitation for a procurement by tender, or B, an invitation to pre-qualify for a procurement by tender, is given in at least 2 newspapers of general circulation in the Federation, no less than 6 weeks before the day and time for the close of bids or proposals or invitations to pre-qualify, as the case may be. And just in case you are wondering, Section 16 speaks to issues of national security, and certain procurement would require some confidentiality. But who would believe, my straight dog family, who would believe that after being caught in his tangled web of water tanks, Ashley Allers tried to justify the raping of our treasury by suggesting, would you believe this, my Straight Talk family? By suggesting that the tanks, including the installation, would cost $12,000 per tank. This, he said, would be the cost, including tank, pump, and installation. Who would believe that, my Straight Talk family?
You're getting a tank, you're getting a pump, you're getting housing for the pump. You're casting the platform with concrete to rest it, the tank on. The fittings, you come with a smart head. You're talking about almost $12,000 value.
$12,000 value, he said, my Straight Talk family. So, Straight Talk did its homework and found the supplier's cost in bulk for the same tank, my Straight Talk family. The same 400-gallon tank. We found the suppliers at Rotor Plastics. And the cost for that bulk order would be $150 per tank. The cost sold at the local supplier here of the 400-gallon tank is EC $1,000. The pump, my Straight Talk family, the pump and the other supplies, the only CAM 50 hertz tank equals or is sold by the suppliers at US $150. Now let's be generous, my Straight Talk family, and add US $1,000 for the PVC pipes. For the cement, a bag of cement is $26, and you don't want a bag of cement to put a platform for a little tank like that. But add the cement, add the PVC pipe, add the pump, and include the tank. And we are giving him a generous total of US $1,304 or EC $3,543.07, which means, my Straight Talk family, the profit on each tank is $2,300 or $2.3 million on 1,000 tanks, my Straight Talk family. $2.3 million on 1,000 tanks. And could you imagine, as he said, the cost would be almost $12,000 a tank. So he's talking $12 million for 1,000 tanks. But as I said, he put his foot in his mouth, my Straight Talk family. But meanwhile, two legitimate businesses, TDC and OD Brisbane, have been deprived of what we may call a windfall in these difficult times, when they still have to employ our families as part of their staff. They still have to pay overheads, including electricity and business taxes. But my Straight Talk family, I stand firm by my position as, according to Dr. Drew, Ashley advanced the idea. Drew gave him an exclusive contract for $5.8 million, paid from the Treasury into the Development Bank, which then translated into a loan to get those storage buckets, I call them, which arrived last week. And I tell you, Ashley, I'm happy for you. I'm serious. I told you so. I'm happy for you. But it is wrong. I'm happy that you're smiling to the bank. But my Straight Talk family, good governance for Dr. Drew I said this before, it bears repeating. Good governance for Dr. Jew is the ability to use his power to circumvent the law, as the procurement legislation is clear, very clear. So I'm asking the Attorney General Garth Lucien Wilkin, who was clear as well and advised that our Procurement Act requires that there must be a competitive bidding process to ensure that the government gets value for money. And I can say, in this case, the government is not getting value for the money it spent. Garth Lucien Wilkin, you opined as well that the act, meaning the Procurement and Contract Administration Act, makes it a crime. It makes it a crime, you said, Garth Wilkin, to spend money. The act makes it a crime to spend money from the Treasury without the procurement process being completed. There are quite a lot of contractors till today have not been paid their monies for work done under the Team Unity Administration, as you said that there was no procurement process. This is what you said, A.G. Wilkin.
Our Procurement Act requires that there be a competitive bidding process to ensure the government gets value for money, and it makes it a crime to spend money from the Treasury without the procurement process being completed.
My Straight Dog family, Ashley Allers got money from the Treasury without a competitive bidding process. So I'm asking the Attorney General, who committed the crime? Dr. Jew, who approved the contract, or Ashley Allers, who took the exclusive contract? Attorney General Garth Lucien Wilkin, you have a golden opportunity to redeem yourself by telling the country who committed this crime by spending money from the Treasury without the procurement process being completed. And those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Talk family. And I hasten to move right into my thesis for tonight, my Straight Talk family, which I have titled Oldest CBI under Simmonds, Least Transparent under Drew. Now, under the 1984 Citizenship Act, Part 2, Section 5, Section 3, beg your pardon, subsection 5, the Simmonds Palm NRP administration established the St. Kitts Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program, or the CBI, making it the oldest CBI in the world. It has been a viable program for the country in the last 39 years, my Straight Dog family. But my people, transparency is a crucial and necessary virtue in every government. And when former Prime Minister Denzel Douglas failed to live up to it, we did not hesitate to criticize him. We criticized Denzel Douglas day in, day out, my Straight Dog family. We did not hesitate at all whenever it came to that situation. Now the shoe is on his successor's foot. His successor is Terrence Michael Drew, my Straight Dog family. The shoe is on his foot. And Dr. Drew and his administration owe the public honesty and openness. But so far, my Straight Dog family, so far, he has not delivered them. Dr. Jew and his colleagues are not open to public scrutiny. Imagine a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis now is still able to travel to Greece without worrying about having to get a Schengen visa, or heading to New York without having to wait for a whole long year to get a US visa. A select set of individuals around the world enjoy this enviable access thanks to what some call their golden visas, their passports offered by or under the CBI. This is a passport that is offered to vetted, qualified individuals, typically high net worth individuals like investors, as defined by us in St. Kitts Nevis, in return, beg your pardon, for a specific amount of investment in our country. People who hold our passport can then relocate to St. Kitts Nevis and enjoy all the legal rights that a born citizen like you and I of the country would enjoy. Their fundamental rights and freedoms, like yours and mine, are fully protected. The right to invest in real estate and the right to vote. Our CBI program mainly targeted passports. I should talk passport sales, I should say, to China and Russia. And China and Russia has quite a lot of billionaires, would you believe? Lots of billionaires, and see the world billionaires. Who would believe 400 billionaires with a collective wealth of some $1.5 trillion, ranked number 2 in terms of country with billionaires. Of course, we know the United States of America. They have some 975 billionaires with a combined wealth of $4.45 trillion. My Straight Talk family. The next targeted passport country, or we market rather, is Russia. Russia has 107 billionaires with a collective billionaire wealth of some 475 billion. France. And the list goes on, and the top 15, you can see the UAE brings it up with 45 billionaires amounting to $189 billion. Now, my Straight Talk family, why I said that? Because many of us may not have even thought that communist China had so many billionaires. And that's where we target our sales, China and Russia. But now, since the war, our sales to Russia has been suspended, obviously. But St. Kitts Nevis CBI has attracted one French billionaire whom we know about. And that billionaire is Patrick Drahi. Patrick Drahi is originally born in Morocco, but has French and Israeli nationality. And he has done legitimate business, founder of Altis, and owns some 25% thereabout of the British Telecom Group, my Straight Talk family. But Drahi has citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis. And according to Mark Brantley, he wants to park his jet at the Vance Amory Airport and apparently has one of the largest jets in the world. So he don't want to have to park his jet in St. Kitts and go by boat to Nevis. So he has entered into an agreement to expand the airport according to Brantley, is what he said.
We started some conversations with a significant investor on the island, Mr. Patrick Drahi, and those conversations, he is the owner, we're told, of the largest private jet in the world. He has made Nevis home. And so we started conversation with Mr. Drahi to try to forge a public-private partnership where he will bring the money to finance the infrastructural improvements that we want to do at the Vance Amory Airport. And the negotiations thus far contemplate that what we will do is, rather than that becoming a burden on the taxpayer to repay, we will seek to work together to enhance operations at the airport. We have not yet concluded the agreement, but I'm just giving you the bare bones of what it is we are trying to do, and of course saying to you that we have an investor who's prepared to partner with us.
But months have passed by and no consultations. But Straight Talk has learned that this billionaire Patrick Drahi has abandoned this draft agreement in spite of what was said by Brantley.
The airport, as we know, has been talked about quite a bit. We are finalizing negotiations, and I have said that I will come, and we intend to have some public consultations and discussions with stakeholders and the island of Nevis generally. But we will announce those in due course. We have selected some consultants who are assisting us. We have looked at contractors who have been assisting us. We have financing that's in place that we are seeking to finalize the terms. And once we have done, in fact, we have a draft agreement that is with our legal department. And once we're done, we'll be in a much better position to come to the public and to advise. The intention, as we have indicated thus far, of course, this is subject to the final approval of the cabinet, but the intention is to build out the existing infrastructure, to strengthen the runway that is there, to lengthen the runway. We are hopeful that we can get at least another 1,500 feet, which will take us to about 5,500 feet of runway. We will see whether or not that is possible based on the technical advice, but that is our desire. We are going to have the facility now for a hangar. We are going to have additional parking, and we're going to have the capacity to sell fuel. We're going to upgrade all the lighting, and of course the entire infrastructure there at the airport will be upgraded to the first world standards. And there's...
But my Straight Talk family, months have passed, as I said, and reliable information reaching Straight Talk has informed us that Patrick Drahi is no longer interested in that deal. But we'll wait and we'll see and we'll hear. But right here on St. Kitts Nevis, beg your pardon, we do not have a clue of the number of passports sold and to whom for sure. To many Chinese. And contrary to what some people may have said and continue to say and believe, but believe it or not, the only prime minister, underline that, the only prime minister to reveal any figures about passports was Timothy Sylvester Harris. And Harris said this: for those of you who are saying that Team Unity never released any passport figures, listen to this for yourselves.
Last time I had reported that under the program we were advised by the Canadian banknote who manages our passport, the 10,777 had been issued at the end of December 2015. And we have the revised information from the banknote, which says that up to 2015, really, the figure should have been 12,496. And the total number of CBI passports now issued stands at 16,544.
And that was the figures released by then Prime Minister Timothy Harris. That was 5 years ago. But no other leader took that bold step towards good governance and let the country know how many passports are out there. And I can say to you, the day those figures are made public, we will be holding our heads and be scared whether we want to come back home with all these people when they come back home. But they will sure run our country. When you go down to St. Martin next door, and we look at Phillipsburg, you see how the locals were displaced. They were bought out and they sold out. And regrettably, they did. Beware here in St. Kitts, my straight dog family. Dr. Jew talks about transparency. And perhaps will do so. He will just talk until thy kingdom come. But he has never responded to the questions. Never has he responded to the questions.
Earlier this year, the National Assembly passed Freedom of Information legislation, which the government said it was serious about. But while the legislation is not fully operational as yet, in the spirit of the legislation, the observer and the nation are still seeking the numbers as to the certificates of registrations the Prime Minister has signed since taking office, and also the total number of passports sold under the CBI program. Thank you.
With respect to, I think we discussed the numbers the last time, and I direct you where you can get the exact number last time. And that is why I want to ask, if you really want to know the number, of a direct source, where you can get the exact, I would say that.
Yes, we really want to know the numbers, Dr. Joe. And even your proxy, Michael Martin, also covers up for you. Because here's what he said when asked a question about numbers. Here's what Michael Martin said.
One of the things that we are looking at is the regular publication of statistics that we believe also is very important and of great interest to our people. Well, things like the number of applicants, number of passports, the revenue brought in by CBI, expenses, it's all part of being transparent and accountable, because it's very important that something of this nature ought to be transparent. It's a program that confers citizenship on virtual strangers, people who were not born here. And so it's very important for us to inform the public of what is going on.
So why? Why they don't inform the public of what is going on? Why don't they inform the public of the thousands and thousands of foreigners that have our passports, have the same rights with us, and they're going to kick us around in our own country if we do not take stock, my straight dog family? I've seen the Chinese boxing and kicking a local man. They ganged him, so to speak, and we do nothing about it. But transparency, my straight talk family, is not in the vocabulary of Dr. Joe, no matter what he says. No wonder we get that poor ranking on the CBI Transparency Index. Look at our ranking, my straight talk family. Very poor ranking we get on the CBI Transparency Index. And my straight talk family, it says quite clearly for us, my straight talk family, it says quite clearly here that we are down at 20%, which means that there's ad hoc reporting. But there's no reporting whatsoever, my straight talk family. Once in our 39-year history of this program, was there any report given on the number of passports? And that was given, as I said, by Timothy Harris, my straight talk family. But where do the billionaires prefer to live? You may ask the question. Fortunately, however, we may never be overrun by billionaires, as these billionaires prefer to live in places where they can find peace. Yes, they'll find peace here in St. Kitts, but they won't get their best return on investment here. There's no return on their investment here in St. Kitts and Nevis, sad to say. And there are many other factors they consider, these billionaires, such as good healthcare systems that's lacking here in St. Kitts, high-tech applications we may pass, business hubs we need, and luxury spots. But the stats show that billionaires like to reside in the most developed cities. They're not going to come and overrun us here, thank God. But recall, my straight dog family, that St. Kitts Nevis has sold citizenship to thousands of individuals, including persons convicted of fraud, which cost us our Canadian visa-free waiver for years, which we have just managed to get back.
During its meeting on Monday, the 7th of January 2013, ministers, having duly considered the content of a memorandum dated January 4th, 2013, approved the appointment of Mr. Ali Zia Mohadam, a national of Iran, who had formerly acquired citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis through the investment program. Mr. Mohadam was issued with a diplomatic passport. He, on his travels to Canada, presented such passport to the authorities there. The authorities sought to confirm his role, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed to Canada the details of Mr. Mohadam's appointment and the specifics of his remit.
My straight dog family, we would recall it was Team Unity who came into office and cleaned up the program through enhanced due diligence, collaboration and cooperation with the USA, Canada, and the United Kingdom in particular. No matter what they will say, those are the facts. And straight talk will give you nothing else but the facts. Some may get offended, but those are the facts. The Drew administration claims to have continued this process, but the Prime Minister tells so many bold-faced lies, and I say so respectfully, that it is difficult to accept anything that he says. Asked about the numbers of passports sold on numerous occasions, he bluntly refused to answer the questions. For the billions raised under the CBI, there can be no excuse to take thousands of poor people off the poverty alleviation program. The CBI, my straight dog family, accounts. The CBI accounts for 35% of our GDP, meaning thousands of passports are being sold daily in secrecy because the country is kept in the dark. The choice markets of the CIU are China and Russia, like I said. Russia has been suspended because of the invasion of Ukraine. But though there is a suspension in the latter, if that war subsides, we never know. But look at the revenue projections for now, my straight dog family. Over $518 million projected for 2022. The actuals in 2021 was over $500 million, near $600 million. And my straight dog family, that's over 50% of our revenue collected. Over 50%, my straight dog family. But with so many Chinese-funded projects in St. Kitts Nevis, all of us must be wary of this Chinese influence in the Federation. Not only are there people coming, they're bringing their construction workers. They come to work and stay. And then all of a sudden, you find they are doing well. They disappear and they disappear and put themselves on the two islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. And suddenly they open food shops at every corner. Every corner. Who would imagine in my time that you will see three supermarkets in Newtown? 3. There's no other supermarket but Chinese supermarkets in Newtown. The mom and pop shops are gone. My brother used to say, George Street, the fallopian tube of commerce, only has Chinese supermarkets. They open food shops at every corner. And they all have our passports. They buy our infrastructure. Capital and other geopolitical influences are becoming more prevalent as well. They sponsor nothing, absolutely nothing. Can you go to them and ask for a sponsor for the Newtown Sports Club? No. But for Beijing, the Caribbean is also a key battleground in its efforts to isolate Taiwan, and China is actively wooing the 3 or 4 Caribbean countries, including St. Kitts, that recognize Taipei. Is this unavoidable? In time we will tell. Because in these efforts to increase influence in the Caribbean, China has vastly expanded its trade with Caribbean countries. Overall trade grew from $1 billion in 2002 to $8 billion in 2019, with 3/4 of that amount representing an increase in Chinese exports. Evergreen and all those mainline vessels have direct schedules from China to Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. China has also made significant investments in infrastructure and energy projects and real estate in the Caribbean. My Straight Dog family, our continuing dependence on the CBI is bound to hurt us and not help us. And with our present day leaders on this course, it will remain to the detriment of our children's children as the oldest CBI on the Simmonds, but the least transparent on the Jew. That's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines and hear from you. The numbers are 663, my Straight Dog family, 6672. Our overseas line is 646-829-6672. We tried it just before we went live tonight, so it should be working tonight. I do apologize for on Monday night, but the lines are open. I will, my Straight Dog family, remind you, when I open the lines, I'll do so in a few minutes, that I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things that you say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. Our email address, for those who like the cloak of anonymity, is straighttalkpatches, as one word, at gmail.com. STRAIGATTALK at gmail.com. At 9:12, we go to the lines. A caller, you are live.
Good night, Mr. Libert.
Good night, sir.
And good to the listeners at home and abroad. Carl Brown here.
How are you, Carl?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age.
Age is wisdom.
Mr. Libert. Yeah?
Age is wisdom.
That's right. And when you get older, you're supposed to get wiser, not dumber.
That's true, my brother.
Right? And that's a quote for many of the people in the nation, especially those who are coming out of teenage and going into the early 20s, and those who are coming out the 20s, going into the 30s and into the 40s. While you get older, don't get dumber, get wiser. Okay, Mr. Libert, I want to touch on, because I keep posing the question all the time, and I heard it yesterday on EK Show, and I heard you saying it tonight, that we have recently got back our Canada free status.
Well, we have access to Canada, but one has to.
Free?
One has. No. You have to apply what they call the ETA. It's an electronic travel application. So you go online, you apply, and you need a debit or credit card, and you pay $7 once you're successful.
Well, everybody is doing that. Everybody is doing that right now because of technology. What I am looking at, for all the years that we lose our visa-free status to Canada, is that back up and running that we can travel to Canada visa-free?
But you need,
because
the ETA is like a visa. That's what I'm saying to you. It's called an electronic travel arrangement or application. So you need that permission to travel. So it's just equivalent to a visa. So in the past, you just bought a ticket and you went. You can't do that now. Mm-hmm. You must apply. You must go online and get the ETA. So that's not equivalent to a visit free.
Nice, because I've been calling for quite a while that asking Dr. Douglas to straighten up one hurdle before he retired, and that was to get back our visa-free status to Canada. I am very happy to hear that we have that back. Well, the other thing
again, Carl, be very careful with that, right? The visa-free status we had, a visa waiver status we had, you could have bought a ticket. Once you have a valid passport that's not less than 6 months before it expires, then you can go to Canada. That is not the same. What is obtains now? If you want to go to Canada, you have to apply online. I don't know if there's a stipulated period. I don't know if you can apply the same day when you're traveling, but you have to apply online and pay a $7 Canadian fee. And once you accepted, they issue the visa for some, I think it's 6 months. So it's not the same thing.
Oh, well, our Foreign Affairs Ministry need to come out and inform the nation, because that's what I have been calling for.
But it's online.
For quite a while.
You can go online and check it yourself.
Well, what about the people who cannot go online? We need to hear it on the radio, or we need to hear it in a you know, press conference or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Chinese, for years I have keep lamenting, crying and bawling the overrun and demolition and destruction of the Chinese that is running through our nation. And to see, I received some information some weeks ago that the smart houses them that are claimed that is to be built, those materials are ordering from China to come to Trinidad and then to sink it. Would you check that out? Because I received that information several weeks ago, that the smart houses, the supplies and equipment, supplies for those smart houses, right? Well, maybe, some going to be buying here, but the technical smart part of those smart houses, I understand several weeks ago, that is coming from China to Trinidad and then from Trinidad to sink it. So would you check that out, and if you could come back Monday and refresh us if anything goes on?
Well, I'll find it out, but I think that was the plan from day one when the announcement was made with the houses about the Chinese company that were what they call this Chinese board, whatever. I'll find it even before the program is done, right?
Yes,
I'll find that.
Yeah, and last thing before I go, it bothers me. The voucher, which they said they were giving out to school children for independence. Well, I was listening on the mark several weeks ago, and I heard a minister in Nevis say that they were to start the following week, because the march show is on a Wednesday, and they say from the Monday they will start the one, and they were saying that only 2 children in a home was entitled, and that is wickedness, Patrice. Because if you have 3, 4, 5 children going to school, why are you only going to give 2 children? So what happens to the others? Don't we have an international code that no child must left behind? And I keep asking the question, here in Thinkit, how much children in a home is entitled to that voucher? If a parent have 3, 4, 5 children, even up to 6, and still are in school, how much of them is entitled to that voucher? And I keep asking them and telling them that many parents up to today is still complaining they have not seen that voucher for their children. I've gone, Patrice. The question is asked, how much children in St. Kitts in a home or to any parent is entitled to that $250 voucher? I asked him the question on every talk and nobody could give me an answer. But I know in Nevis, it was said on the map several weeks ago, only 2 children in a home entitled to that. I'm gone.
Okay, my brother, thanks. I'll see what information I can glean for you. I want to. I hope I have the right soundbite because I remember some time ago the issue of these houses when the quote unquote smart houses when information came about the houses. This is what was first said. I hope I have this right soundbite.
I live in China. My partner in China, we export all the goods. We have projects in St. Kitts, and now we feel that this is the right time to start the process. So we're actually bringing in a team to set up the factory and to instruct how to use preform.
Yes, we know there's been some changes in terms of the setting up the factory, but we also know that they are going to be using these what quote unquote preform slabs, I think they call it. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Bartlett.
How are you, sir? How is the Bible, man?
Yeah, we have the Bible. Wow. I'm glad to get here.
Good to hear as well.
That is, God is good. I am reading from Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. Hear the word of the Lord, Mr. Patrick. The Lord God from man of the dust of the ground and breathe the breath into his nostril, and man become a living soul. That is, I want to tell you something tonight. When I moved to St. Kitts, and when I listen to radio, it seems like people do not have no fear for God. And I am saying something tonight. I am warning them. People, man is the images of God. And so, when people start to bring down a man, just because he don't love the man. Brother, as the Bible says, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, and who shall believe in him shall not perish. I am saying it, that people must stop it, because of what you saw and what you reap. When they start to bring on your brother, what's going to happen to you? And I am going to tell you, Mr. Patel, the word of God saying in Hebrews, I believe chapter 12, God is a consuming fire. That's it. I'm going to finish now. That's it.
Yes, my brother.
The situation of it. What happened in the old time days when man sinned, God used to wipe out a whole nation because of one man. If we knew why not happen today, because Jesus Christ went on the cross of Calvary So Jesus between God and man. It nothing changed. Just because Jesus Christ went on the cross of Calvary. I am warning. People, you hear this Bible man tonight? Take warning. Things are happening. People only got to tell themselves, you not feel good. And they cut off and they gone into eternity.
Okay, my brother.
I said, have a pleasant night, you hear me?
Have a pleasant night as well.
I am not going no further. Because you look at if I start a preach, I'm going to preach. So, see you, bye-bye.
Have a good night, Mr. Bibleman. Genesis, I'm not too familiar with the Genesis. I love my Psalms, Bibleman, like when I hear you quote it. But the Bible is the Bible, but you lost me there with the Genesis, the book of Genesis. Not one of my favorite books, I must admit. It's now 9:26, 26 minutes past 9 o'clock. You may have just joined me, my Straight Dog family. And we are discussing the oldest CBI, which was established under Simmonds. But we are troubled by the least transparent under Drew, the least transparent period after 39 years under Dr. Drew. Our passports, imagine, giving people who were not born here passports if they spend some money in the country, and you can't tell us where they're from or how many of them. You're not asking for their names. Tell us that there are 20,000 Chinese out there, 10,000 Russians, and the list and nationality would go on. But we need to know, the people need to know. It's for our benefit. And no matter what you say, my Straight Talk family, one day we will come to understand that when this happens, we'll be out. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Leiber, Carl Brown here again. Something pulled me here, and which I find very ticklish. Now, here is it that the Labour government, this new Labour government, start the laptop program again. But this time around, they are giving teachers and students. You know, the last time was just students got it. But now they are giving teachers and students. But here the calamity and the funny thing about it, Mr. Leibert, if you got 6 children going school, the 6 children gonna get a laptop. But, and you know, a laptop costs more than a $250 voucher. But here is it, that one part of the federation is telling you that only 2 children in your house is going to get $250 voucher. But the laptop program, which come back on scheme by the federal minister, every child and every teacher in the schools is going to get a laptop. You see the big difference? Every child and every teacher is going to get a laptop or a tablet, right? But here is it, you're giving $250 voucher, and up to yet, on Think nobody could tell you how much children in your house that is still going to school is going to get the $250 voucher, but the other half of the island, Nevis said two children per home
Okay.
Very, 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 very ticklish, right?
Well, it's discriminatory.
And, yeah, it's discriminating. Got $250 can buy you a laptop, right? But you're going to give every child a laptop and you're denying other children in the home $250.
Okay.
I'm gone.
Thank you very much. We go right back to the line and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night to the world. Good night to the world that are listening. Thank you for having me, Precious. As I heard you mention, and I observed when I was in St. Kitts, the Chinese, their shops in every corner, the mom and pops, they don't exist anymore. I wonder why. But my observation of Chinese and China, one may think they may have nuclear bomb and all the world sophisticated weapon to capture a country and make it their own. But the new wave of taking over a country is what is going on in St. Kitts. Infest our country, our federation, or any other islands in the Caribbean with their people. And mind you, they are well taken care of and they are well financed. And time after time, they start breeding like rabbits until their population become more than ours. And soon we're going to have Chinese Prime Minister, Chinese Parliament, and our people is just shove aside. So be warned and be aware. As the Latin words say, caveat emptor. Let the buyer be aware. You in St. Kitts, be aware of what is going on. I don't think our land should be sold to foreigners anymore. Because when our lands are sold, our children will not get none. Because the Chinese and the foreigners got it. And guess what? They got money. They got money. The banks are not lending the people any money. You have to have credential of recognition. Okay? And even if you have recognition, like another saying, a king does not honor in his country. But people, wake up. One day you're all going to wake up and no land. And I wonder where you're going to be. I will cease on that and I'll let someone else come in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your intervention. My Street Talk family, continue to hold their feet to the fire with this email. Patches, I trust all is well and that your fervor continues unabated. Yes, I am, and it will continue with the help of God. What prompted me to write was the manner in which you handled Ashley Allers. You properly clipped the wings upon which she flew in to confront. He ought to have known that you were going to push back, but he was totally unprepared for it. Continue to hold their feet to the fire, brother. One love. Yes, my dear brother. Thanks for that support. What topics you speak upon? I'm just writing this email to find out what topics to touch on or talk about. I found you on Facebook and just inquiring. Thanks. Yes, we speak on all topics and mostly or basically of national interest, be they legal, environmental, technological, social, economic, and of course, people in St. Kitts, we all love the politics, Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live. Are you there, caller? Okay, I think I've lost that caller. Jamela or Jamster, beg your pardon, and Azad of Island T. What nonsense. Call out these so-called journalists as who they really are. Dr. Jew has them in his pocket and they could only ask the structured questions given to them. They are a disgrace to international mainstream journalism. Just imagine they could not ask Dr. Ju anything about the ambassador and her despicable behavior at the United Nations that resulted in her being recalled home. Shame, shame on all these personnel paraded around the country as journalists. They are puppy shows. Reads this email. This other email reads, some months ago, they say they form a media association for St. Kitts and Nevis, and they promised that there will be a better association going forward. They named the president, secretary, treasurer, etc., etc. They also said they were going to have training sessions for current and potential journalists. All of that talk was just rhetoric and lip service. None of them could walk in the journalistic footsteps of Tony Fredericks, the late Val Thomas, and Ken Richards. Even the young fellow from the Observer, LaShawn Dixon, are more effective and efficient in the field of journalism than those old, experienced so-called journalists. Dixon is not a coward and is very persistent in getting his questions answered. Keep it up, Mr. Dixon. You are doing a great and commendable job in the field of journalism, reads this other email. Yes, I'll go to the lines now. I've not been ignoring your calls. Just wanted to sort of simultaneously or intermittently, whatever is the right word, deal with the calls and or emails, so the emails don't overrun me. Caller, you're live. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Ian Patrick Libert.
Your humble servant is...
Well, thank God. This morning was 81 degrees.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
I tell you, I'm going to cool down the temperature, you know.
So Joe can't fall then?
No Joe could fall. He don't fall, he don't tumble down.
Oh, right.
Yes, now let me go patches here, you know. Let me start up Nevis. That is, we were always told that the beggar is a slave to the devil. And with that gentleman who has the biggest private jet, and what he wanted to do in Nevis to accommodate he and his jet, because he don't want to go in a boat from St. Kitts to Nevis. Every disappointment is for good. His mind never changed. I could tell you people of Nevis, crapper and frog will smoke all your pipe. So every disappointment is for good. Thank God that he changed his mind. Now you see what politician does? They just give in to all kind of, not vagabond, not with the V. I'm going to say like what Dr. Washi Archibald tell me. When I say waggy-bun, nobody could tell me I shouldn't say that. Because the correct word to describe certain people, it begins with a V, not a W. So he say, always say waggy-bun. Now you know what, you never go wrong. Now, you talk about the amount of passports that Russians and Chinese have from St. Kitts. Hold on. Patrick, you got me?
Yes, you're live. You're live, man.
Because I hear something else coming through on the phone there.
No,
yeah. You move that thing from here, man. Sorry about that. The amount of Russians and Chinese got St. Kitts Nevis passport, I am convinced that is more than what monkeys we have in St. Kitts. And why is it all those millions and trillionaires want the passport of this little federation, St. Kitts? Why they want it? Is it because it's cheaper than the others in the CBI program? Or because the no alien that can use our passport and go anywhere and get away with the Malda, what they're doing? When you see politicians in the parliament. I believe the bargain table, it has another table underneath it. That one under there for the grease hand. Because I don't see this passport thing started when it was 1983.
84.
Under the Palm administration, and it's been going good.
84.
Okay, right, yeah, 84, thank you. It's been going good and great, and the country been depending on it, and along with the cane and whatever else we had. But we got no cane now. And everybody talking about agriculture. But agriculture is not moving the way it's supposed to move. So we're basing on this passport business. And because we depend on this passport business, Tom, Dick, and Harry from all kind of countries who cannot go here and there with their own passport, they're coming down to Little St. Kitts because of what? What happened to our passport? And then Dr. Juno, up to now, all the questions being asked of him over the year and couple months, what he in there. And he never gave a direct, straight answer about the passport. But yet, he could give how many Chinese get citizenship by the Galaxy company over that building the prison over Estridge. You all see the difference? The Galaxy, I don't think it has more than 100 Chinese. So he could say, well, how many Chinese over they got citizenship?
Okay.
But the millions of people out there who got the passport, he's afraid to give it out. Because he know definitely the amount of money, the amount of passport is signed on. That is, we done reading secrets, and we have to stand up now for our rights. We cannot let them come and trample us no more. Okay. Because you see what they're out for.
Okay.
Once you go and give in to them and say, well, okay, build that there, put down some lampposts, build a road there. They can do it. And when they done that, we who are existing right now, our grandchildren, them can't make no noise. They got to say, listen, I put down that and I put on this.
Okay.
So I am calling on Dr. Joe. You said you're going to go in there to be transparent and integrity and information.
Okay.
Public information. And none of that they you exhibiting, Dr. Joe.
Okay.
That is a big lie you convince people to vote for you.
Okay.
And now, you ain't in there?
Okay.
Anyway, I'll be back.
Okay, my
One
brother.
more shot punch you got to leg when I come back.
Okay, notice that these recent times they're never out of words, my brother.
Okay, thank you, man.
Thanks for your intervention. Patches, Dr. Drew was on his favorite radio station today. He was asked about the ambassador's situation. Dr. Drew said that the process is ongoing and the ambassador has gone on vacation. How could this government send the ambassador on vacation in the middle of an inquiry? Where has the ambassador gone for vacation? Is it back to her job at the UN? What the Prime Minister said today just don't make any sense to me. It is a distraction. They want us to stop talking about it and forget it. No, so after a while, they will come back to us and say that the inquiry is over and they have decided to reinstate the ambassador. It's all a trick. The ambassador knows all her secrets, all their secrets, beg your pardon, and she also knows where the skeletons are buried. People don't be deceived by this worthless government. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Thank you again, Patches. A couple months back, I awakened the situation about the environmental levy that the government continue to charge on cars that imported into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I did an observation and to find what's really going on this issue. And I'm not going to let it go. Environmental levy that they are charging, if a car is 1 year, no more than 2 years, whether it's a dealer you buy it from or you import it, that environmental levy is assessed, which is $1,000. Anything over 2 years, no more than 4 years, is $3,500, and anything over 5, will be $5,000. But I am asking, and this is the first time, I'm not against any administration, but I will like these reviews to be taken into consideration. This environmental levy is an imposter to environment. The government has, not even a private sector, has any instrument to check the threshold of the pollution these vehicles are giving off to lower the greenhouse condition that is a threat to the globe. And for that reason, just like the Americans said to the British, no taxation without representation. Where the hell this tax could have come from? But I went to the source. And Mr. Dwyer, I'm sorry, but I approached you and I asked you about this environmental levy. And you said you were part of it. But the IMF, you think it was the IMF introduced that. Okay? And if the government need ways to tax people, tax in a proper name, because the environmental levy is an imposter. No instrument to check the emission level. And people, all you who have asthma, it will contribute to your asthma condition, because that pollution from automobiles, motorbikes that use fossil fuels, diesel, all these are hazardous to your health. And I am calling upon the administration. Government is continuous. Review these laws that pass through Parliament. It doesn't make no damn sense. That is thief. Okay. And you all got to stop it.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I think a class action lawsuit should go against the government for these taxes, because it's not right. It's thievery. And I'm going to call it out, because I know here in America, a car cannot go on the road and could not be roadworthy unless they pass an emission test for $20 US. How think it could come to 1,000, 3,005, and 5,000? That is thievery. I calling upon the administration once again to review this, and that must be stopped immediately. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your passionate presentation. Good night, Mr. Patches. Dr. Drew is Minister of Health. So how come the pharmacies closed down over at Mary Charles's hospital? So what the elderly should do, please, Dr. Drew, reopen the pharmacy at Mary Charles Hospital, reads this email. And this other email reads, Patches, with all this crap going on in our country, where are the elected leaders of the opposition parties? Where is Sean and Timothy to speak out about the nonsense that this government is doing? I hope they are not waiting for Mark Brantley to do it, for it would never happen. Mark Brantley and the Labour Party are in bed together now, doing all kinds of nastiness. Sean and Timothy must take the lead as they promised in their last press conference. I hope they are not till the second anniversary of this Labour government to come back to us again, for it will be too late for them also. They said we will hear from them more often, so that's what we are looking for. The government needs to be kept in check, otherwise they will destroy our country, reads that email. It's 11 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. For those of you who may have just joined me, if you have joined me for the first time, then you are on Straight Talk, and Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 until 10 p.m. Tonight, we have looked at our thesis for those who may have just joined me as well. And our thesis, oldest CBI, beg your pardon, under Simmonds, least transparent under Drew. We also spoke about the rip-off deal, the raping of the treasury with this so-called tank distribution. And I'm happy that the folks in St. Peter's and Keon are getting some relief. But the cost for these tanks, $5.8 million for 1,000 tanks, are questionable. And somebody is raping the treasury. There was no process. There was no procurement process. And according to A.G. Wilkin, that's a crime. So I'm asking the AG to redeem himself by telling us what is wrong, or if it is wrong or right. We'll wait and we will see. But tonight, for those who may have just joined me, let's take this call. I'll come back to that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Okay, that caller doesn't want to speak. Yes, we looked at our thesis for tonight, and every program we do have a thesis. We have a short dissertation where we discuss a particular, or we focus on a particular topic. And tonight we looked at what we titled, as I said, Oldest CBI on the Simmonds, least transparent on the Jew. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're live.
You're talking about raping country. You helped rape the country with Timothy.
Tell me how.
You was in bed with Mark and Timothy. You forgot?
Tell me how we did it.
You forgot?
No, but you tell me how. Oh, some people want to speak, but they don't want to have a conversation. On Straight Talk, we have a conversation. There's no harm, if you have your own view. When we entertain all views from all corners of the country, of the world, because diverse views help to build communities, help to build countries. But if you are coming with a position, you must be able to defend your position, and we have a conversation, right? Because we are saying that the treasury is being raped by the contract awarded for $5.8 million for 1,000 water tanks. that's the view of this host. If you have a different view, then you're entitled to express it here on Straight Talk. Don't get angry and, making propositions that you can't defend. Make your propositions, make your statements, but defend them. Be able to defend them, and let us defend them in an intelligible way. We're not going to cut you off. We're not going to shut you down. So you don't need to hang up. You advance a position, tell us why you have taken that position. And then we can see how, at the end of the program, you and I are better off. You may very well convince me that we ripped off or we raped the country, right? But it will be hard, because I've been there and I know what we have done in terms of infrastructure development. I mean, St. Kitts Nevis has never seen that since adult suffrage, since 1958. You have never seen that in this country. And if you tell me of any other period when we had infrastructural development like the one we had during 2015 to 2020, then I'll back up. We resurfaced the Island Main Road, $69 million project. We resurfaced the entire Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw runway. We put in brand new runway lights at the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw runway lights, solar lighting. We rehabilitated the 3 taxiways, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and we completed the resurfacing of the western apron at the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw Airport. And ironically, I was there as the general manager when we rehabilitated the terminal building in 1996. We built a brand new cruise pier that can accommodate 2 of the world's largest ships simultaneously. That's what happened under Team Unity. We built a ferry terminal. We introduced traffic lights. We built 2 bus terminals, east and west. What else I forgot? Did I forget anything? We did a hell of a lot here in St. Kitts and Nevis under Team Unity between 2015 and 2020. Let's take this call. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Liger.
Yes, sir. Yes, caller.
Yes, Mr. Liger, Carl here. Someone was asking about the media. Yes, the media have association, and yes, they have done a number of training for the year, and they're still going to be doing some more before the year finish. Yes, they might be a little soft. They might be a little soft and questioning when they go to thing. And yes, when you go to press conference and so sometimes you only got 1 to 3 questions to ask. So we got to give them a break on that. But what I am disappointed in, and I always tell the media, right, that they need investigating journalism in media houses.
How the fuck are you going to understand what Patrick said?
What? Forgive me, my Straight Talk family. I think we've had a cross line here. Something went wrong there. Caller, you still there?
Yes, I'm here still, Mr. Patrick.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, what I always tell media houses, they need investigating journalism in their media houses. Mm-hmm. And what I find is that they don't follow up with when a topic is hot. They do it for a little while and then they leave it alone. They don't follow, even if it take a year to get you the thing, and you have, since you can't get what you want in press conferences, round table, and so, I mean, the paparazzi follow these people around. Every place they have a function, show up and ask them question when they enter in or when they leave in. Or you get an invitation to be there and ask them questions. Shove a mic in the...
Carl, many, with respect, those guys are like palace guys, they call them. They ask questions and they're not answered, and they don't try to get the answers right at the press conferences. So there's an excuse for that.
Them around.
They should get the questions at the press conference.
That's true.
Right.
Because I have asked a number of politicians under all the governments them some tough questions and they don't answer them. They bob and wheel around them and spin like a Ferris wheel or fan blade around the question them and say a whole 5, 6, 8 minutes why I didn't ask them.
Okay, but anyway, yes.
Yeah, so we get that. So what we got to do is paparazzi them around, show up at the functions them and ask them questions.
Okay, my brother. Thanks a lot for your input. The media asks, or media personnel asks questions, and right in front of them, they don't get answers, and they don't follow up on the questions right there. I mean, when Bart asks the Premier about the Social Security payments or monies owed to Social Security, when the Nevis Island administration under Mark Brantley has not paid the Social Security, the contributions deducted from the worker's salary, and has not matched those contributions and paid it into the Social Security fund, which is criminal. And he allowed Mark to get away by talking about some colleague and some nonsense before asking. But when Mark would have gone on his tirade, then he would, as he's finished, he said, but Mr. Prime Minister, what's the question? What's the answer? Yes or no? Do you owe the money? Yes or no? That's what the media house or media personnel should do. Good evening, Patches. Read this email. It's amazing how a few dollars can cause us to be blind to the lessons of history. The CBI in its current form is a far cry from the CBI that was introduced in the 80s. My straight talk family. As I understood it, if you invested in an industrial factory, beg your pardon, that employed a few hundred locals, you would be granted citizenship. After 1995, the focus changed to a new model. This current model is designed to make money for the agents and marketeers of the program and cash revenue for the government. Meanwhile, by issuing passports in this manner, we have fallen rapidly into the same dilemma that Tegumen faced when his country was overrun by Europeans from England and France. Citizens by investment in Tegumen's day were called settlers and were welcomed in the same way that we are welcoming citizens by investment today. That is how St. Kitts became known as a mother colony back then. So when I hear boasts about St. Kitts being the leader in CBI, I sigh because I perceive it as another way of saying mother colony. The end result will be the complete overrun of our country. What a better way to say it. Is there a better way to say that? You're so correct, emailer. My Straight Talk family, as we wind down tonight's programming, I was about to tell you that we perhaps take this and make this my final call. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hi, Patrice. Good night.
Good night, my dear. How are you?
I'm good. I heard a caller say that Timothy raped the Chedri. How Timothy could rape the Chedri when they could get a 40th independent anniversary reset back? $1,000. How could Timothy rape the Chedri when the Prime Minister done spending money like a junkie sailor man? Spending money like a junkie sailor man, and the 40th anniversary is reset back, he said, only those who in St. Kitts going to get the money. But when election time overseas, they depend on overseas, but overseas is not counting to get no money. All of us is independent. The 40th independent belongs to all of us. So what's going on? The Prime Minister done has spending money like a junkie sailor man. And Timothy raped it. Well, I'm glad he raped it, because if he didn't rape it, he wouldn't be able to spend the money like a junkie sailor man. You have a nice weekend, Patrice.
Have a nice weekend as well, my dear. I'm sorry I had credence to what you said, but this thesis tonight, my Straight Talk family, I titled Oldest CBI on the Simmonds, Least Transparent on the Drew. And my position was or is that under the 1984 Citizenship Act, the Simmonds PAM NRP administration established the St. Kitts Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program, the CBI, making it the oldest CBI in the world. It has been viable or a viable program for the country in the last 39 years. But my people, transparency is a crucial and necessary virtue in every government. And when former Prime Minister Denzel Douglas failed to live up to it, we did not hesitate to criticize him. And we did. The whole country did. Now the shoe is on his successor's foot. His successor is Terence Michael Drew. He must be criticized as well, because Drew and his administration owe the public honesty and openness. But so far he has not delivered them. You and his administration are not open to public scrutiny, my Straight Talk family. And this is bad. Very, very bad. People who hold our passports can then relocate to St. Kitts and Nevis and enjoy all the legal rights that a born citizen of this country would enjoy. Their fundamental rights and freedoms like yours and mine are fully protected. The right to invest in real estate. The right to vote. They can buy property any place. Right down in Irish Town, through the alley. If properties are for sale, they can buy them. And they have money. My Straight Talk family. But we have to stickle for correctness, my Straight Talk family. We have to know what is going on. And I want to say before I depart that a lot of people have been saying that on the team unity, no information was released. But that is so false. The only time any prime minister, and this is fact, the only time any prime minister released information about passports publicly was one prime minister. And his name, whether you like to hear it or not, is Timothy Sylvester Harris. And he gave us these numbers back then.
Last time I had reported that under the program we were advised by the Canadian banknote, who manages our passport, that 10,777 had been issued at the end of December 2015. And we have the revised information from the banknote, which says that up to 2015, really, the figure should have been 12,496. And the total number of CBI passport now issued stands at 16,544.
And Dr. Drew has that information. The Canadian banknote manages our passports. They provide the information on a monthly basis. Sent to the Permanent Secretary in National Security. And the Prime Minister gets that information. So he's telling lies. And when he talks about transparency, perhaps that will happen when thy kingdom comes. Because Dr. Jude never responded to the questions about the passports. And his proxy he nominated as well never responded to the question. And here's what his proxy said.
One of the things that we are looking at is the regular publication of statistics that we believe also is very important and of great interest to our people. Well, things like the number of applicants, number of passports, the revenue brought in by CBI, expenses, it's all part of being transparent and accountable, because it's very important that something of this nature ought to be transparent. It's a program that confers citizenship on virtual strangers, people who were not born here. And so it's very important for us to inform the public of what is going on.
Ought to be transparent. Be transparent. Not ought to be transparent, my Straight Talk family. And before we wind down as well, there's some of you have been asking me to replay that, or those sound bites from or by Ashley Allers about the tanks. And I will oblige my Straight Talk family. Yes, Ashley Allers said this about TDC and ODB.
In fact, the same tank that TDC selling, the same tank that ODB selling, same company.
And they're not selling them for $5,000 for the 400-gallon tanks. He also said he had this.
For months, we've been going through the procurement process. Even though there's a talk show host who just bang off his old stupid mouth and says all sorts of stupidness and without even asking and trying. In fact, he was told he has an idea what is happening, but he's being delivered.
And my Straight Dog family, he did put his foot in his mouth when he said this about the costs to include an installation.
You're getting a pump. You're getting housing for the pump. You're casting the platform with concrete to rest it the tank on. The fittings come with a smart head. You're talking about almost $12,000 value.
$12,000, he said. But we did the calculation, though, and we concluded that on this project, just for the 1,000 tanks, someone, and we have to say Ashley Allers, is getting $2.8 or $2.3 million in profit for these tanks. But as we wind down my Straight Dog family, our main theme, our thesis rather, was the oldest CBI under Simmonds, least transparent under Drew. And my Straight Dog family, St. Kitts Nevis has sold citizenship to thousands of individuals, including persons convicted of fraud, which cost us in the past. It cost us our visa-free status in Canada. The U.S. has more or less blacklisted us. T-Immunity came and cleaned up the program through enhanced due diligence, collaboration and cooperation with the USA, Canada, and the UK in particular, the United Kingdom. The Drew administration claims to have continued this process, but the Prime Minister tells so many bold-faced lies, it's difficult to accept anything that he says. Asked about the number of passports sold on numerous occasions, he bluntly refused to answer the questions. And the information lies in his office. For the billions raised under CBI, there can be no excuse, my Straight Dog family, to take thousands of poor people off the pap. As the CBI accounts for 35% of our GDP, meaning thousands of passports are being sold daily in secrecy because the country is kept in the dark. The choice markets of the CIU are China, and before the war, Russia. There's a suspension in the latter because of the war in Ukraine. With so many Chinese-funded projects in St. Kitts Nevis, all of us must be wary of this Chinese influence in the Federation. Not only are there people coming to the islands, they open food shops at every corner, supermarkets, and they have our passports. But my Straight Talk, capital and other geopolitical influences are becoming more prevalent as well. They sponsor absolutely nothing in the country. But more than that, my Straight Talk family, mainland China, Beijing. The Caribbean is also a key battleground in its efforts to isolate Taiwan. And China is actively wooing the 3 or 4 Caribbean countries that recognize Taipei. In these efforts to increase influence in the Caribbean, China has vastly expanded its trade with Caribbean countries, my Straight Talk family. They have made significant investments in infrastructure and energy projects and real estate in the Caribbean. My Straight Talk family, our continuing dependence on the CBI is bound to hurt us and not help us. And with our present leaders on this course, it will remain to the detriment of our children's children as the oldest CBI under Simmonds and the least transparent under Drew. That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight as always. I want to thank you, the thousands who have listened from all over the world and here in St. Kitts and Nevis and the Caribbean. I want to thank those of you who called, those who sent emails. Just remember that every single one of you makes Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patchlibert, and in God's Spirit, we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Go to church for the weekend. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Go to the beach. Do your chores. Whatever you feel like doing, please do it in moderation. But until that time, I want you to believe that whatever your mind conceived, that you will achieve. But my Straight Talk family, as I said, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for